What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Marcus Brown with another video. But before we get too deep into what the video is about today, why don't you go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like this video, and hit the notification bell so you'll be notified of any videos that I do put out. So for all my Final Cut Pro 10 users, you know that everything you do eats up storage on your computer. And you find after you do one or two projects that you're losing a lot of storage and you're like, where's my storage going? Like, I don't understand. And the interesting thing is everything you do in Final Cut Pro eats up storage space with your rendering, and constant background rendering is what eats up your space. And a lot of people don't understand that. So what we're going to do today, I'm going to show you two ways how to get your space back, how to get your storage space back. I will show you the way I do weekly. I do this way once a week, and then I'll show you what I do after every single project is completed. So we'll start with what I do once a week, because that's a little bit more of a process, and then we'll go into what I do every single time I'm finished with a project. So the first thing I do, as you see my screen here, I'm going to show you my Final Cut Pro. So you can ignore this, it's just a project I'm working on. So when you click here to see essentially your big Final Cut Pro, your files, this is where I keep everything. I call it untitled. You can name yours, a lot of people do, but I just like to keep it untitled because I do everything in here. As you can see here, it's my Mac operating system. What Final Cut Pro is taking up is 492.1 gigs of my operating system. Currently, as you can see here with the white line, the white dots, it's still rendering because I just opened the program. So what that's telling you is, so you see here in your cache, so in the library right now, it's still, this number right here is going to keep going up. It's going to keep going up and up. It usually sits at 6 gigs, but as it renders, it can get as many gigs as it needs to. I've seen mine get as high as like 150 gigs. That's how much it has in your library. It tells you essentially how much is in your how much is using of your operating system, which is 492.1 gigs. And see, it's already 13.4. I believe it was 13.2 when we started, so it's already going up. So it's eating up a lot of your storage space. So even when you open up the storage to see what's going on in your operating system, as you see, I have 2 terabyte storage, and 951.51 is being used. But if you were just paying attention, you saw the number just went up. Well, it went down to say how much I had available, because as you can see, it keeps going down and down and down, because as Final Cut Pro is rendering, I'm losing more and more storage space. So I just dropped again. So that happens to you anytime you do a project. So imagine doing a really heavy project in Final Cut Pro, you're going to be eating up a ton of storage space. So what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of it. So let's do it. Okay, so what you want to do, now this is what I do weekly. Once a week I do this because this is huge. So what you want to do, you want to open up a new Finder window. You want to go down to operating system, the Mac OS. Open up users, find you should be, you're the user. Open up movies, and then find Untitled. Now remember, that's what I call my Final Cut Pro projects. They're all under the Untitled folder. If you have more than one, they'll all be lined up here, but essentially you want the 4 stars. Okay, so you're gonna right click. Do not double click this. Everything in your body is gonna tell you you want to double click. Do not double click. You want to right click, go to Show Package Contents. Let me look at it differently. So this is everything inside of there. So as we saw, let me open it back up for you. So you see 430, 19, 8, 9, 18, Cine Packs, Fire and Smoke, Shutterstock. These are all the things that are inside my Untitled, and they're also all here for 30, 19, 8, 9, 18. You see Shutterstock down here, Fire and Smoke. So they're all there. So what you want to do, go in here. You're gonna go down to, actually let's do it this way so you can actually see what we're doing. So you see it's still dropping, because Remember, it was in the 50s when we started. Now it's 951.06 gigs. Almost out of 951. It's about to drop to 950 and change. So what you're going to want to do is you click on the project file. So we know 43019 has a lot of my projects. And then what you're going to want to do is find render files, which you see right here. Go to render files, and you want to move it to the trash. Boom. Just render files. Boom. Go to 8918. Find render files. Move it to the trash. Bam. All right. You're gonna go to FCPX. Render files. Move it to your trash. Then you want to go to Fire and Smoke. Render files. Move it to the trash. I'm gonna speed it up. Shutterstock. Render files. Move it to the trash. So, excuse me. That's just a few of mine. But I know they have, they have render files in them. So as you saw, we just emptied out a lot of space. We have 950.66 gigs available. So we're at 950.64 gigs. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna empty my trash. And you see how many items are being deleted. Look at all these items dropping out. 50,000 items on it, over 50,000. And you see it just jumped up to 988, nope, excuse me, it jumped up to 1.3 terabytes available. Remember, I was down to 950 gigs. And now it's up to 1.3 terabytes. So just doing that once a week will bring your storage space back to life, so to speak. So that's what I do weekly. I highly recommend doing that once a week. But if you are doing big projects, finish your project first before you do this, unless it's eating up far too much storage space. Now, another way you can do this, let's open Final Cut back up. So another way you can do this. Okay, so as we see, Final Cut Pro is back open, and of course we know it's going to be, it's got to render every time you open Final Cut. It's got to render everything. So another thing you can do every time you get done with a project, you'll click here. As you see in my cache, it's only 3.8 gigs in being used up. You see this is even dropped to 42.6 gigs on my Mac operating system. This will go up as the render happens. So what you're gonna wanna do after you see it already jumped. It jumped already to 4.4 gigs. So what you're gonna wanna do when you get done with, let's say you've been working all day on a project and you've rendered it, or even if you haven't rendered it, but you're just done for the day. This is what I recommend you do daily. Go to File. You wanna go down to Delete Generated Library Files, okay? You want to delete your render files. Now this is not going to delete any of the work you've done. It just deletes the renders, if that makes sense. So everything you've done, your titles, your images, your color grading, if you've done any keying, any masking, all of that will still be there. It's the render that you're getting rid of. So you want to click all. Then you want to delete optimized and your proxy media. Delete everything. And then you just click OK. And then when you do that, it'll take a few seconds. You click on Untitled again, and as you see, it dropped back down. Now, if you just let it sit, it's going to start rendering all over again. So that's usually what I do after I'm done rendering a project, just to, kill the extra. But as you see, it's already jumping back up. So as soon as it's done, you just close the program, and essentially you move on. Another thing you can do, because as we all know, when you put media into Final Cut Pro, what it does is it duplicates what you're putting on Final Cut from your computer. That way it runs smoother, if you're running off a server, or if you're running off external, things like that. Sometimes you can get some lag and things like that. So Final Cut Pro does double everything. So like you can click on something, right click it, and then just hit Reveal in Finder, and it will take you to the media attached to everything in Final Cut Pro, and you can go through and you can just erase things that you're not using. So let's get rid of all these Aladdin folders, because this was something I did a long time ago. Just want to right click it, excuse me, right click it, move the trash, and now it's out of Final Cut. So when you erase it, it's going to drop. When you empty your trash, you'll actually have more space in Final Cut. And as you see, we even went down here. So these are just a few tips and tricks to save your storage space in Final Cut. So, you know, hopefully this helped you guys out. If you have any questions or comments, always leave them in the comment section. I make sure I do my best to answer every comment that I see pops up. I really appreciate everybody leaving comments who does, and I appreciate you guys watching my videos. But if you do have any other, like I said, questions or comments, leave them in the comment section. Make sure you subscribe to this channel, make sure you like this video, and make sure you hit the notification bell so you'll be notified of any videos I put out. And that's pretty much all my time, guys. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.